When we work with any web project, the main base or the heart of the application is the data, and we need database to store our data. So we will be using SQL Server to create a database and store all the data for our website. With .NET Core, you might have heard about a term called as Entity Framework Core as well. If not, do not worry, but Entity Framework Core is what we'll be using to create database, and we will be using the same to perform all the data operations. So with .NET Core, you do not need stored procedures or writing SQL statements in the code. Entity Framework is a smart editor that will help us with all the data-related operations. That being said, it does not mean that you cannot use stored procedures. You can still use stored procedures if you want, but typically with MVC application, Entity Framework Core is used to manipulate the data layer. We will go into those details in the upcoming videos, but right now we first need to create our model. Model will basically resemble a table in database. It is not always the case, but whatever tables you have in your database, you will need a corresponding model for the code first migration. So inside the models folder, we only have error view model. Let me create one more model here. We will right click there and we will add a class file. We want to create a table for category, so we will call our model as category and let's add that. It creates a public class file and it places it inside the namespace of bulkybookweb.models. That is just the location, so it knows that it is inside bulkybookweb models folder. That is the category class right here. Now inside this category class, we need to create all the properties that we want for our table. We want to create ID, name, and a display order. So to start, we can write prop, and it is a code snippet. So once you type prop and hit tab 2 times, it will automatically create a property. The ID column, we will keep that as integer, and I will call that as ID. Next property that we want to create will be the name of the category. That will be a string, so we will create that. We'll press prop again. We want the display order. Now display order will be an integer, so let me add that. On top of that, let's say for logging purpose, we want to create a datetime property which will have the date on when this category was created. So we will call this created datetime. Now the created datetime, let's say we want to set a default value to that. So in order to do that, we can use equal to sign and we can just assign the datetime.now like this. That way the default value will automatically be assigned to the created datetime when we create an object of this class. So perfect, we have created our model, and then we want to push this model to our database to create a table with these 4 columns. But when we create a database table, we might want to add some more configuration. Like we might want to say that ID is a primary key, and since it's an integer, we want to make that an identity column, so we do not have to populate that when we create a row inside the new table that we will create. We could also add a validation that name is a required property and it should not be null. If we had to write a SQL statement, we could have done all of that by using not null and identity in our SQL script. But how will we do that using Entity Framework? For that, .NET team has come up with alternatives called as data annotation. So on the property where you want to configure some more details, we have special attributes that you can use. Let me walk you through them in the next video.